Welcome to Tardisian Files. In the words of the 15th Doctor, there are powers beyond this universe. Ancient beings older than time itself, with abilities that defy the laws of physics. But who are they? What do they want? And where did they come from? Join us in this mini-series where we will explore one of the most elusive concepts in the Doctor Who universe, the secrets of the Pre-Universe. So for those unfamiliar, we are going to be starting off with the most obvious question. What was the Pre-Universe? Sources such as the Time Traveller's Diary and Nothing O'Clock describe the Pre-Universe as a state of nothingness, which surrounded the singularity from which the Big Bang originated, and the edge of the universe seen in the wild blue yonder. As a side note, I think it is possible that the void, or at least the edge of the universe, may be the remnants of the Pre-Universe, essentially an empty space of nothing that has continued to be filled slowly as the main universe, N-space, expands. As said by the No Things, they spent millennia passing no time. And no time is another concept of the Pre-Universe, as this state of existence didn't have a concept of time as understood by the inhabitants of N-space. As the Beast stated in The Impossible Planet and The Satan Pit, he originated before time began. So if the edge of the universe is indeed the last remnant of this nonsensical state of prehistoric existence, then it is possible that this is where many of the survivors from the Pre-Universe currently dwell. Another account of the Pre-Universe, discussed by the 13th Doctor in the episode It Takes You Away, she explains that before the universe came together, its constituent parts, time, light and matter, were unable to come together until they had expelled the entity known as the Solitract from the dimension they were both occupying, implying that before the universe properly began, the Pre-Universe was a state where all of the parts that made up the modern universe existed as a chaotic mess compared to the universe we know today. Another account from the prose Cosmology of the Spiral Politic and Dawn of the Coutura, the Coutura believe in the concept of ancestor universes. There were universes before the main universe, and there'll be a post-universe after the death of N-space, and a universe after that one, and so forth. This concept may very well be based on the real-world concept of cyclic universes, which hypothesises that the universe goes through a series of finite or infinite cycles of expansion and contraction, started by a Big Bang, and ending in a Big Crunch, a theory that I personally really like. In my opinion, the best way to think of the Pre-Universe is a universe with different laws of physics, which occupied the same dimension that is now occupied by the main Doctor Who universe. Regardless of the account you choose to accept, one thing is consistent with each varying explanation of the Pre-Universe. It was an existence without time, light, or matter as we understand them in N-space. Luke Smith once stated in The Secrets of the Stars that the Pre-Universe had a different set of physical laws to the main universe. However, there were some constants which we saw in The Impossible Planet and The Satan Pit. There was at least a concept of gravity, as the Disciples of Light imprisoned the Beast on Croptor, which was held in geostationary orbit around a black hole by a gravity field which also projected a gravity funnel to allow entrance and exit to the Walker expedition in the 42nd century. Kroptal's very existence shows that there were planets in the pre-universe, and the black hole it orbited also proved that there was some concept of black holes, although, as stated by the 10th Doctor, it was different to the younger black holes, possibly because, if the ancient texts uncovered by the Walker expedition were to be believed, the black hole itself was a demon that had been tricked into devouring Kroptal, only to spit it out again because it was poisonous. Additionally, the prose Cosmology of the Spiral Politic states that beings in ancestor universes could spawn new universes, but these new universes couldn't differ too much from the ancestral universe. Additionally, life in these new universes would always evolve from their counterparts in the ancestral universes, with the same genetic traces re-emerging in the new universe. However, despite gravity, black holes, and potentially even stars, or star-like objects, and life in some form existing in the pre-universe, the laws of physics that govern this universe were actually wildly different from those of M-Space, as demonstrated by the species that survived its destruction. Most notably, things like astrology and magic, quote-unquote, apparently worked here, allowing its inhabitants to shape reality to their will. Additionally, there was no time or light or matter as we understood it. This also explains why the survivors of the pre-universe, such as Fenric, could survive without a corporeal form. Though it is also known that the elder gods, such as Fenric, did have some concept of having a physical form, as stated in the audio Gods and Monsters. However, these forms spanned 11 dimensions instead of 3. Whatever laws of physics did or did not govern the pre-universe, one thing is for sure. If one were to travel back in time to the pre-universe, something the Time Traveller's Diary strongly warns against, they definitely wouldn't be in Kansas anymore. To recap, we've discussed the existence, or rather non-existence, of the pre-universe, and tried to discern some of the physical laws that did and did not apply here. This pre-universe can be thought of as a reality that occupied the same dimension that is now occupied by M-Space, and due to their similar nature of comprising of pure nothingness, places like the Void and the Edge of the Universe could be considered remnants of this ancient reality. That brings us to the next part of this 3-part mini-series. How could life have possibly evolved in this nonsensical state of the pre-universe? What species existed in the pre-universe? What rules did they follow? What rules did they break? Find out next time in part 2 of Secrets of the Pre-Universe. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a like and share with your friends. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Tardisian Files Podcasts, where we post clips of new episodes as they're released. You can also follow the podcast on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or Apple Music so you never miss a newly released episode. Thank you for listening, and as always, see you next time on Tardisian Files.